Hey, what's up, Earth students? Frank here from AFP with a really cool topic. Today we're going to be talking about guitar amps. So I'm just going to do a really quick video on the different types of guitar amps that are out there that are really great options for you. And when I say for you, I mean for guitar players that are just starting out. I am going to show you, however, 3 different types of guitar amps that range in 3 different prices that could be good for guitar players that already have amps that are trying to change their tone. But yeah. So first things first, I want to start by talking about my little baby, my Honeytone by Rickenbacker. I've had this for about 11 years, I would say. It was a gift that I got on Christmas. I think it was an inside joke because I wasn't that good at playing guitar when I first started off. And my mom got me this, and I'm about to talk about it in a few seconds. My mom got me this decently sized amplifier for a kid that wasn't as knowledgeable at guitar yet. I wasn't ready to, play that loud. So, and she had realized it, so she got me this little Honeytone amp. And I am like a little Batman thing you could put on your side. I'm bringing this little amp up because, dude, it sounds so sick. It's kind of dead right now, and I have to get a new battery for it, but let me just be the one to tell you that it has 3 options. Has an off and volume knob, which is the same thing. You just switch it on, and it basically, you can control the volume from there. It has a tone and overdrive knob. So it's only three options. A switch knob for your volume and off, a tone, and an overdrive. And that's really all you need. Really, it's you can find this. I don't know if they still manufacture this exact one, but I know you could find this for anywhere between $20 to $50 online. This is a pretty neat little thing to have. Now, you don't need to necessarily get this one. This one kind of replicates the really cool retro 50s Danelectro look, hence because it's made from Danelectro. But yeah, you don't really need this specific tone amp. They have a couple of different amps in these small pocket sizes. I know that Black Star has their own version of a pocket amp, which I think happens to be the best one in the market. Get the one from Black Star. Oh my god, it just sounds freaking dope. It sounds like a real guitar amp in a little baby pocket size. But if you don't have the money to get the Black Star, there are other options there. The Fender, it's like a little baby Fender Deluxe one that exists out there. I think it's like $50, $60. There's the little Marshall one. I believe there's a Vox one. So there's different types of guitar manufacturers make these little pocket guitar amps. This one's by Danelectro. So yeah, I'm so glad I kept it in good condition all these years. It has a little leather strap up here, and it just looks so cool. Now, let's get to that amp that my mom wasn't ready to hear me play out of. And it's crazy because this is the amp I eventually got good on playing. So this was, for me, my starting grounds for guitar tone. This is my Fender Frontman 25R. Looks kind of big because of the video, but it's really not. I would say, it's decent sized. I think this is before the Champion, if I'm not mistaken. This is an amp that is completely solid state and does not have any effects in it. It's just, we only have 2 channels. We have drive, and we have normal, we have our lead tone, and we have our normal rhythm tone. And it has the option to manipulate the drive volume, and it has the option to manipulate the regular rhythm volume. We have the treble, middle, bass, and reverb option, like any other normal $200 guitar amp. But yeah, this is, like I said, I don't know if they still sell this exact model, because now we have the Champion, and the Champion has all these effects, and it's about the same price. But at the time my mom bought this, I think I was about I had to be about 8 or 9. And And my mom, this was so heavy to me. Like, how could you give a little kid this? But I wasn't complaining because I thought it was the coolest thing ever. It was the biggest amp in the world to me. And even looking at it now, it's still a pretty decent sized amp for a beginner guitar player. And you could find these amps for anywhere between like $50 to $150. It's a pretty cheap option. I don't know if I can call this vintage gear yet because it's not 20 years old, but they don't make this anymore. I know they don't make the Frontman anymore. I know they replaced it with the Champion series amps, which are pretty cool because the Champion ones are the same size as this, but with I think more watts. There's more watt in the input power section. So this is a really dope amp that you could still probably find used, but I doubt it if you find it brand new. So if you're looking for a really cool guitar amp to get or upgrade to, because I know that sometimes when we buy our first guitar, we get these little player kits that come with the gig bag, the Allen key, the picks, the one set of strings, the strap, and the little baby brick size guitar amp. This video I'm making right now is for those people who are kind of trying to escape that and move up on their options. And it's kind of funny because this is definitely not an upgrade from a pocket-sized Squire amp or a little brick-sized Squire amp. But however, this Fender Frontman 25R is a really cool option. If you want to spend a little more money, you could get a Line 6, which to me is not the greatest amp out there, solely because it just sounds so digital. It sounds like you're playing through a digital keyboard. It's just weird. I'm not a huge fan of Line 6 amps, but there's companies like Orange out there that make good solid state amps about this size, and I know Vox is kind of expensive, and I don't think they make, well, I'm not sure if they make solid state amps, but it's really, you'd really have to go out and check and do a bunch of research. But I'm doing a video mostly on Fender gear today, so yeah, definitely go out and check the online market. And now we're gonna get to slightly more professional grade amp, and I'm gonna try my best to get it on the camera. It's very heavy, and it's also, like I said, a Fender amp. This right here, oh yeah, this right here is my Fender Hot Rod Deluxe. I got this 2 years ago. What can I say about this? This is about a 55-pound amp. And 55 doesn't sound so intimidating when you say that. Like 55 pounds, no, it's freaking heavy. This is not a travel-friendly amp. The amp I showed you before, the Fender 25R, is slightly, well, actually, it's a lot lighter than this, and you can put it on, like, I don't know, a dolly or a carrying cart. This thing is something you would, what I'm holding in my hand, the Fender Deluxe right here, is something you want to put in your car or in your truck, because this is a super heavy little bad boy. Yes, I have gigged with this. Yes, I've brought it to, I'm a New York, first of all, I live in New York City, and I've, before this whole coronavirus, I was taking trains to and from gigs. Yes, I carried this on the train. It is not fun. It is very heavy. So a little history about this type of amplifier. This is a tube amp. This amp is powered by 3 preamp tubes and 2 power amp tubes. And what tubes do is basically, let me just, because I kind of scripted myself here. They basically power the amp. They basically help send current through the preamp to the power amp and out the speaker. These tubes assist the amp in helping the guitar signal travel through the amp. These are the tubes right here. These are the preamp tubes. And over here, these slightly big ones, I don't know if you can see, there's 2 of them. These are the power amp tubes. And basically, these tubes, like I said earlier, help send signal through the preamp into the power amp. Now, these bigger power amp tubes help take the guitar signal, which is on its own not strong enough to create output on through a speaker. These two tubes right here, these two power tubes, generate enough power to send the guitar signal out of the speaker. Now, these tubes are controlled by the gain of the preamp. These tubes right here, which are the power tubes, which appear, and a cool way to remember this for if you do get into buying a tube amp like this, these tubes, like I said earlier, are bigger, and they control the power coming out of the speaker. They control how much signal is coming out of the speaker. So the preamp is controlled by the gain knob, and the power tubes are controlled by the master knob, which basically controls like I said, controls the level of how much sound comes out of the speaker. Now, you have a couple of extra options that a normal amplifier wouldn't have on this amplifier. You have your preamp options, which are your drive, treble, bass, and middle. But then you have a second channel option, which is your, I guess, slightly hotter, thicker sounding channel, which is, it's drive, but it's not overdrive. It's not like super distorted. It's just a crunch. Then you have an option right next to the volume. I'll try to tilt it so you can see. I'm trying to be very delicate with this. It's super heavy. This knob right here, where is it? I think this button. This is your overdrive button. It even says it. It says more drive. And basically, it kind of just maxes the tone of this amp. And you can adjust that. You don't necessarily have to be very loud to be very crunchy and thick, which is really cool with having a tube amp. I like that you can kind of massage the drive and massage your tone a little more than you would with a solid state. And solid state is something that doesn't use tubes. So just remember that. Solid state amps do not use tubes. This is a tube amp. This is a completely tube power amp. This amp won't function well without the use of its tubes. If there's a tube, if one tube is messed up or one tube is not functioning correctly, the whole amp will suffer for it. You can tell. So if ever you buy one of these, just knows that it's very expensive to maintenance one of these amps. And actually, I'm being a little exaggerated. It's not very expensive, but it's, you're gonna need some money to keep up with these amps, because every couple of years or every year or two, you might want to swap out the tubes. Tubes create the tone for these type of amps. They really give it its character. Like I said, you can really massage the tonality of this amplifier through the use of the tubes, which I think is cool, and which I'm happy that I upgraded to this amp. Now, let me put this down because it's been sitting on my lap. Woo! Yeah, this one's heavy. Now, that amp that you just saw runs for about it runs for about $700 on Sweetwater, Guitar Center, Reverb.com, brand new. I got that amp for I think I got it for $400, or about $400 and change. My band and our band was constantly, getting gigs around the city, and we were faced with this, issue where it was like either your amp was too small and it didn't have enough volume to not to overthrow the drums, because we don't want to overthrow anything, but to sit on top of the drums or sit within the drums. Like an amp like the 25R just doesn't have enough volume, and the mids kind of overthrow it in a full band situation. The Blues Deluxe, the Hot Rod Deluxe, which is the tube amp that I have, has a more controlled tone through the use of the tubes. And obviously the small honey tone ain't gonna cut it. But and imagine that. I'm pretty sure somewhere in history they'd mic a small honey tone amp and have it being played through a PA system. But I'm joking. This amp is only necessary, the deluxe amp I'm referring to, is only necessary if you are, I don't know, in a recording studio, or you're playing live and somebody's driving you to the gig and you're getting paid for that gig, and you can risk replacing a tube, or someone's going to replace the tube for you. It's kind of, like I said, for those who are, you know, I don't know, going out busking or going to go to the club down the block and like just play a couple of songs, a Fender Hot Rod Deluxe may not be your first choice. Like I said, I've traveled with it on the train. It's heavy. It is such a heavy amp. You know, it was funny. My bandmate and I were talking about it, because he would say, you don't want to buy something that you can't carry. And I was more along the lines of, I want to buy something that makes me sound good. Don't get me wrong. The guitar amp I bought for a decent price, and it sounds great, and it's a tube amp and all that, and I got away with it, but it's still heavy. I cannot carry that on the train. I never take the amp out. It became something that became more part of my studio and not a part of my gigging, you know, arsenal. So now I solely rely on gig amps, like amps that are at the venue or amps that are at the place that I'm rehearsing at. I don't have a car. I live in New York City. I depend on mass transit, and an amp like that is just not something to travel with in the city. But if you have a car, or you have someone that will drive you, and you really like the tone of that guitar amp, and you're looking for a sick, thick tone guitar amp, I would say definitely go for the Hot Rod Deluxe. First of all, for me, alongside the Princeton and alongside the Blues Junior, it is the most affordable. Those three that I just named are all tube amps. The Deluxe, the Princeton, and the Blues Junior. All affordable guitar tube amps that you can find for under the original price that they are listed for. But yes, these are basically my three little main amps. I've come across many amps throughout my life. I've given away amplifiers because I just simply didn't like them. They were taking up space in my house, and I just, you know. Now, I don't have this style of amp present with me because I'm not really a metal guitar player or shredder like that. But there are guitar amps called stacks. Well, they're not called stacks. It's a form of guitar amp where it's a head, which is the physical amplifier and preamp, and the bottom, which is the speaker that is basically 4 speakers in a huge cabinet. Now, if you are a huge fan of 80s hair metal and like 70s like rock and roll, you'll notice that companies like Marshall and Vox have like these kind of stacks that exist. And even Orange, that if you're looking at guitar amps right now and you're looking through what to buy, you'll come across these companies. There's a bunch of options. What is the perfect guitar amp for me? The perfect guitar amp for me is currently something that I can carry on the train, and something that offers me the same quality of tone that my, well, I say same, not exactly the same, but like accurately the same quality of tone that my Hot Rod Deluxe has. Because my Hot Rod Deluxe is, for me, my true tone. You know, even though I'm kind of complaining about it, it is the true tone for me. It's thick when I need it to be thick. It's also really clean when I need it to be clean, and quiet. But on that note, those are the 3 different types of guitar amps that I own, and I just wanted to offer a bit of variety for you. I just want to also, before I let you go, I want to go over a price, you know, because I love talking about economics. You know, I live in New York City. You know, we all don't have access to studios and gig spaces, and, you know, when we're playing at home, we want to be like conscientious of our neighbors. This right here, $30 to $50, $60 right here. That's the Honeytone Dan Electro amp, pocket sized. And then we got a more medium sized amp, Fender Frontman 25R. anywhere between $50 to $150. I'm not lifting this bad boy up again. I'm just going to point to it. Hot Rod Deluxe. There's another model called the Blues Deluxe, which is a slightly thicker toned amp than this one. This one's hotter. And when I say thicker, I mean like more mid-range, more low-end, all around thicker. This amp that I have, the Hot Rod Deluxe, it's kind of in the name and self-explanatory. It's hotter, a little more distorted. It has crunch even when it's really clean. There's a little bit of crunch on that clean, and I really like that. And it's controllable. So this one is a kind of expensive amp. It lists for about $700. I got it for about 400 and something and change. So there's ways to shop economically in this field, and you know, I just hope that the video I just made walked you through ways to kind of decipher which amp you want and, you know, go for what's best for you. Now, like I said, everything that I'm teaching right now, everything that I'm telling you as far as my amp preference is all opinionated. It's kind of hard to say right now. I know we're all in quarantine. Watch videos of reviews. Watch videos where they're breaking down the amps and explaining. That's what I do. That's how I made my choice on what I wanted. And a friend also recommended a really good amp to me. And I kind of was like, yeah, I'm going to get this one. So watch reviews and make that decision on your own. But on that note, I'll see you guys later. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them as soon as I can. All right, bye.